A bomb attack has killed at least one person and wounded 6 others in the center of the Afghan capital, Kabul. The bomb targeted the Jardin French restaurant in a central residential area where many guest houses are located. The restaurant was popular with Afghan officials and foreign diplomats. Security forces have cordoned off the area and are investigating the incident. The Taliban have claimed responsibility for the attack. The blast came days after the Taliban claimed responsibility for an attack near Kabul airport that killed one person and wounded dozens of others. To get the latest on that, we're now joined by Faiz Khurshid, Press TV's correspondent, who is joining us live now from Kabul. Faiz, what more details do we have?
Well, as you pointed out, Wakar, one person has been killed and 6 others have been wounded. And shortly after the attack, Taliban spokesperson has claimed responsibility for this. Westerners were the main target. We understand that the French restaurant and the guest house close to it have been targeted, and it was a very huge explosion. It shook the entire neighborhood, and now the Afghan security forces are still at the scene investigating this latest bombing here in Kabul. The number of checkpoints around the city has been increased, and now a large number of Afghan police personnel can be seen on the streets of Kabul to avoid any other possible terrorist attack. We understand that it's not only Kabul. The Taliban attacks continue in other major towns of Afghanistan too as we speak. Massive operations continue in Helmand province in southern Afghanistan, and the aim of these operations are to drive the insurgents out of villages in Helmand province. Actually, Taliban is trying to use Helmand as a launching pad for their attacks against other towns. And the Afghan government has announced that the Afghan security forces would drive them out of the Afghan villages. But 2015 actually was a very tough year for the Afghan security forces. A large number of Afghan security personnel and civilians have been killed at the hands of Taliban insurgents. Now the Afghan president, Ashraf Ghani, is talking about possible peace negotiations with the Taliban insurgents, most probably in Islamabad in coming weeks. But today's bombing has yet again proven the Taliban are not going to give up the fight against the Afghan government.
Indeed, and I'm wondering, Faiz, because, as you said, this was a highly secure area in the city. I would imagine that shows intelligence failure and obviously the strength of the Taliban, too, to be able to get through such checkpoints and intelligence, to be able to carry out such large-scale attacks.
Well, what's very disturbing actually for the Afghan people is that 14 years on, we are still talking about the strength of the Taliban. Yes, this terrorist group remains a big threat now to the Afghan people. The Taliban continue to kill innocent civilians, aid workers, police officers in different towns of this country. And this terrorist organization remains accountable for thousands and thousands of civilian casualties. The Afghan people on the streets are deeply worried about this trend, and they continue to put pressure on the Afghan government to bring peace and security in their country, not only through military operations, but also through a sort of political settlement.
Okay, Faiz, as always, thanks very much for that.